All right, all you Twin Peaks fans out there. I know we got a few of you, just like a handful, right? Like a couple. No, I know you're out there. Got some beef with your favorite restaurant. Now, to be clear, I have never been inside of a Twin Peaks. I don't know what they look like. I don't know anything about them. I mean, I know what they are, but I'm just putting this out there. I'm not going to knock the food, all right? I'm not going to criticize it like I did the filet of fish before trying it. Now, my criticism was right. I just had to confirm it with trying the filet of fish a couple of months back. But I am going to criticize a new business practice of Twin Peaks. So this came out on Fox 4. A restaurant franchise with locations on both sides of the state line has been in hot water on social media after a letter to employees surfaced. It talks about tip money coming out of servers' pockets when patrons use credit cards to tip due to processing fees. So a Twin Peaks employee sent the letter to Fox 4. And the letter addressed LB Lodge employees. That includes Twin Peaks restaurants in Kansas City, Independence, Olathe, and Wichita, according to a manager. The letter says that starting this year, the restaurants will implement a tip refund for credit card processing fees on certain credit card transactions. For each dollar in tips received through Visa, Discover, and MasterCard, a 2.5% refund will be deducted from a server's final checkout. For tips through American Express, it will be 3.25%. So essentially, you are going to have a situation where tips are going to be taken out of a waiter's tip jar, essentially, if you tip with your credit card, which, let's be honest, in 2024, who's carrying around cash? I mean, I'm all about Dave Ramsey. I love the Ramsey model. I love Dave. But are you really carrying around cash when you go to Twin Peaks? I know some of you think you're going to be carrying around the cash so you can start rolling out the $20 bills and making it rain, but that's not the real world. No one actually, for the most part, brings cash now when they go out to eat dinner at a restaurant. Sometimes I'll leave cash for the tip just so you can pocket the cash right away. But once again, nowadays, like, you know, if I have $20, it's a big deal in my wallet. I'm far away from my bank. It's like, 7-8 minutes to my bank. I'm not going to pull cash out. I'm certainly not going to do it to go out to eat. So I just don't think like that. And I don't think most people do. So instead of claiming 100% of credit card tips, now you're going to be in a situation where Twin Peaks employees are only going to be able to claim like 97, 98%. And you might say, what's the big deal? But heck, 2% when you're a waiter in Bidenomics is a lot of money. It adds up. So a lot of the employees were outraged about this. They talked to Fox 4. They did not want to comment on camera, some of them. And also Twin Peaks owners didn't want to comment. But in a letter they wrote to Fox 4, they blamed rising operating expenses and said, "We understand this implementation may raise concerns, and we assure you this decision was not made lightly." The Independence manager said they installed an ATM inside their restaurant. Yeah, but let's be honest. It's going to be a $5 charge on the ATM machine. So, who's going to do that? I mean, it's a nice idea in theory. Hey, I'm going to take the money out of the ATM machine so I can tip the waitress. But then I've got to get a $5 surcharge, theoretically, on that ATM withdrawal to be a good guy or a gal. That's not realistic, John.
No, it seems like they're making this I suppose, I've heard, if you're going to a gentleman's club, you might collect a lot of single $1 bills. You're going to use those through the night. It seems like now you have to plan to go to Twin Peaks as if you were going out,
to a
out
club
with the boys.
Yeah, out with the and nowadays in Biden's economy, you better have 5. Singles aren't get you anywhere. Not in this. I can't imagine this economy. But as someone who has not been to any of these Twin Peaks, because what am I doing? Taking a wife and 2 little girls. Then we're going to Twin Peaks. The wings are great. That's what I always heard from guys who were going to Hooters. I'm like, get a life. You don't actually like the wings. Oh, the beer's cold, man. Oh, coldest beer in town. Shut up. No, it's not why you're going. Yeah, I know why you're going. It's fine. I'm not here to judge you, but don't lie to me. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. I know why you're going, and it's okay. It's America. You do what you want to do, but it's not going to be on my short list of places to go with the family. We've got a very short list anyway, and I promise you, Twin Peaks is not going to be on that list anytime soon, John.
We brought up that things change, and so I'm kind of thinking people are upset. I think it's just a standard program, but you go in and you order your own pizza, and somebody flips the thing towards you and it says, "Hey, you want a tip?" No, I don't want a tip.
No, I am so sick of that.
Separate thing, but more the reason to carry cash for tips now, because sometimes I just as soon make sure the person who's serving me got the $5 and not the busboy getting half of it. You know? That's the other part of the reason. Give them cash. It's like I'll let them decide if they're going to put it in the cup or if they're going to put it in their pocket or however it works.
Yes. Well, listen, and here's that brings up probably the more interesting part of this conversation because the text line's blowing up with some of this.
Yeah.
Pete, you are wrong. I know very few people who don't tip with cash when eating. I guarantee you this is a generational thing.
Must be.
I would like to know, texter 8842, just text me back your age. I'm not trying to shame you or anything. I just imagine that a boomer crowd is more likely to have cash and tip with cash.
And I don't. That's the odd thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're on the other side, not you. But I guarantee you, and I say this as a older millennial, we don't carry around cash. It's just we just don't have it. We don't feel a need for it. You don't need to carry it around. I don't feel safe. Not that I feel unsafe having cash, but, I know, like, my father-in-law's always got cash on him. Always.
Sure.
And it's like he can't fathom not having cash on him. Just in case, I don't know, the world ends and his credit card doesn't work. Like, he's always got, substantial amounts of cash. I don't know, a couple $100, whatever. He's always got cash on him. And I don't. And it's just, I just think it's generational. There's no right or wrong way. I'd love to have more cash on me, but I bank at a major bank, and it just so happens it's about 10 minutes from where I live, and I'm not going to go there every time I run out of cash. I don't live that way. I don't need to have cash on me anymore.
Well, and that leads to the next boomer step. So when you have cash, then eventually you collect a fistful of quarters, pennies, and next thing you know, you're the boomer at Quick Trip. $2.87? Hang on a minute. I got it. And here's a ting, ching, and everybody behind's going, dude, swipe the card and get that.
Well, and by the way, how many kids could you give $3 to on $2.87? And they're like, what is this?
You literally have to say that, and these 2 pennies make it 87.
So, all right, texter texted back at 842, 67 years old. Bingo, that's my point. And that's not shaming that texter at all. But I guarantee you that we could do an hour, and I don't want to do an hour on this necessarily, but we could do an hour of phone calls where the tipping mindset of cash versus card is largely generational. I'd love to find a millennial or a young Gen Xer even who is consistently tipping in cash in 2024. I used to be a big cash guy, actually, more so than now, because when I was caddying in the summers and one of my first jobs out of college, I was paid in cash. So I had thousands of dollars from caddying lying around my house, and I always had cash on me. But as time has gone on and cash has been less necessary, I rarely have it on me.
I don't know if you noticed in Oklahoma, but I noticed here at Western Kansas, cattlemen have cash.
Yes.
Right. So it kind of depends on the region and maybe what you do.
Well, my
it's
wife.
Sort of like that. But it's still generational. I don't know if young cattlemen are loaded with money like old cattlemen, but,
Well, my wife was worked at the Bank of Western Oklahoma when we lived out there. And those good old boys would come in, and some of them would have a lot of cash on them. So you are spot on with that, John. 913-408-7957. 913-408-7957. If you're on the young, if you're, I don't know, under 50 and you're a cash user, that's compelling to me. But the text line is popping right now with a lot of pro-cash folks, but all of you are admitting that, you're over 55, let's say, which is fine. But once again, that's what makes this generational. 913-408.
You're old enough to remember that Jerry Matters was the beaver.
And I sit here and laugh at the reference without even getting it. That tells you all you need to know. All right. There you go. We'll get to you and more coming up next. All right, here we go. This is exactly what I'm talking about on the text line. We found some of you, by the way. This conversation started because Twin Peaks getting a lot of heat here locally because the owners are now going to take the credit card fees of 2.5% to 3% in tips out of the waitresses' checks. And I was saying waiters earlier. I'm like, I probably should just do waitresses. Is there any waiters in Twin Peaks that we know of? Okay.
Nope, haven't been there like you. I don't know.
Like I said, I've never been inside one, so I'm going to assume
not.
It's all waitresses. Anyway, they're going to be taking that credit card processing fee of 2.5% to 3% out of the tip money from the waiters and waitresses. So if you get tipped, $10 or whatever on a $40, $50 meal, 2.5% is going to be taken to pay Visa, MasterCard, etc. On the text line, 913-408-7957. And I said I never have cash on me. Pete, I'm 33, cash everywhere but gas stations. Need my upside and Casey's rewards. All right, just don't buy the taco pizza for me, please. Pete, I'm 47, absolutely try to tip cash. But as someone who worked in the service industry, I always appreciate the cash tips so much more. And now, now that we're getting a lot of these texts come through, I'm going to try to have more cash on me to tip in cash. I'm going to make that a 2024 New Year's resolution. What else? Pete, I'm 37, always tipping cash, pay with my card. Let the server decide how much they want to report. Okay, I'm cool with that. You guys are making me feel bad now. But this is good. This is healthy.
No, I think it's kind of a new thing. Like you say, I was conditioned as a kid to have some money on you, right? So for the pay phone. Yeah, there's no pay phone now. Right?
Yeah.
So, right.
Pete, I'm 54. My wife's 56. We always carry cash. That's from John. Pete, I'm a boomer. I feel naked if I don't have cash. I prefer to tip with cash. Pete, I'm 43. Never carry cash. Pete, I'm 30. This morning I paid for my quick trip fountain drink with change, and the nice
like
young
John.
man didn't know how to count it.
No, exactly.
Oh, what do we do? Hey, that's because these kids are too busy learning about 17 genders instead of trying to count change.
Well, have you seen the wacky way they do math now? It takes about a half hour to figure it out anyway.
Oh, that's terrible. Well, I'm trying to roll through some of these other texts here and seeing what we missed, if anything. Oh, this is funny. Pete, my 5-year-old daughter wanted to go to Twin Peaks yesterday because she saw the logo of Two Peak Mountains. I told her it's an adult place. Yeah.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's try to avoid that at all costs. 913-408-7957. Victor, got to be a big Twin Peaks guy, right? What do you say, brother?
Actually, I had a comment about that, too. And, hey, John, the payphone is over by the cigarette machine.
Well done.
Yeah, that'll take him back.
Are you a cash man or are you a tip on the card guy?
Well, no, I do not tip on the card. My wife and I, we like to go to local businesses. Twin Peaks is up by us, north of the river. Saw the sign about the cold beer. Did not understand what it was all about. Went inside. Ate there once. The food was okay, but we realized it is not really a place that is designed for us, so we have not been back. We always carry at least $20, and the reason is because we can always cover a tip with what we have in our pocket because the server gets to keep more of the tip.
Yeah,
exactly what the one texter said. They get to report it.
That's very. I need to really start thinking that way, Victor. Thank you very much, and that's a shame on me. Jonathan is in KCMO. What's up, man?
How you doing?
Doing well. What's on your mind?
So I do a side gig where I sell those credit card terminals. I will say it's a very tough business, but when you do sell it, you get a pretty good commission. One of the things that the company I work for pushes, it's called cash discount, where you've seen businesses where you walk in and if you give them a card, they add the fee to like the bill, and then the business takes that and they use that to pay MasterCard. I guess this is different than taking it out of the server. But one of the things we're looking at is it's becoming more common for businesses to do that. I know KC Water started doing it a couple months ago for their water bill, and a lot of utilities are doing it. Governments are doing it. They say in the next 20 to 30 years, you're going to see it like, I don't know if you remember 40 years ago where they didn't have ATM fees and they slowly introduced them and now they're everywhere. It's going to look like that in 20, 30 years. And they'll be able to get away with that because our society, and Dave Ramsey would be the first to say this, is, you have to use credit. You're nothing if you don't use credit. So they will get away with passing the fee on for everything.
That, Jonathan, thank you for that. That is a great call. And I could see that day coming because you're right. Visa, MasterCard, I mean, they've been getting away with it forever, American Express. And especially in these economic times where everything's going up in cost, owners are trying to figure out where can I save a little something on the side. And they're getting, knocked for 2.5%, 3% on every credit card transaction. They're going to pass that on. So it could be like an ATM fee. If you use your card, there's a 2.5% upcharge. And you're right, utilities, I don't know if it's Johnson County wastewater, it might be. But you're right, a couple of my utilities, I basically have to put in my bank information and have it be a direct withdrawal from my bank account because if I do use a credit card, they charge the processing fee of $4.95. And a lot of charities are starting to do that too. I've had charities where it's like, well, you can use the card, but if you do a direct withdrawal, there's no fee. So they are starting to pass that on more and more. And if Twin Peaks wants to do that, hey, if you use a card, we're charging you another 2%. Like, I'd rather they do that than take it out of the waitress and take it out of their paycheck, essentially, is what they're doing. So it's not a great situation for anybody, but it is something that, is worth discussing and having a conversation on because that probably is the way of the future. Pete, there are also different industries that are starting to offer discounts if we pay with cash, including my local nail salon. I could see that. Hey, Pete, I'm 33, paying for cash as much as possible. Prefer to be paid with cash when I sell things. Cash is king. Yep. No, I'm just being lazy. That's it. I mean, when time is of the essence with 2 little kids, I'm not thinking about, gosh, I got to drive 5-10 minutes down the road to get to my bank to withdraw cash. There's a lot of banks closer to me, but I'm not using them right now. I've had this one bank for 10 years. It's one of the big banks in the country, and it's a lot of work to change it over. Tyler's in DeSoto. What's up, Tyler?
Hey, man, I just wanted to say you guys are doing a good job and all that. I'm 27, and living in, the virtual world that we live in right now, I mean, it's kind of a scary place. I'm just proud to say that I tip in cash everywhere. I don't even use any type of plastic card for any type of transactions. So it's just, I'm kind of proud to say that I just use cash everywhere I go.
So
it's kind of scary.
You go to the grocery store, you're buying your groceries in cash.
I'm buying it with green paper money, yes.
No, man, listen, I admire that. And how long have you been doing that, by the way, as a 27-year-old?
I mean, I've never really had a bank account, so... And I'm self-employed, so I've been doing that all my life. And my wife, she's been in the serving industry for, I can't even say, since we've been together basically for the last, 8 years. And it's rough, man, especially when people either tip low or you got the managers and everything trying to take percentages out of credit card tips and all that. It's a rough life. And it's if people would tip more in cash, then it would cut out all of that, basically what we're talking about right now with Twin Peaks and all that.
Well, hey, Tyler, thanks for checking in. Happy New Year, brother. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
That is, all right, everyone's got me. I'm going back to cash. I'm in. The small New Year's resolution I've got, I will be tipping in cash. That's my goal. 913-408-7957. News coming up in a minute. We've got more on how Travis Kelce ended up in the Pfizer commercial next.